talk about a lot of different the classical era of film and television. Like even to this day, I still watch a lot of stuff in black and white. I don't know how many of you guys do that. That's my question. How many of you guys to this day, how many of you guys out there still watch the old classical film and movies and television series, just film and television period? How many of you guys still do that? I know right now, and especially in the era we're in right now, so many people say, well, oh man, I just can't do that. I can't watch those type of stuff. I can't watch. It's hard to watch a black and white or those old classical films. To me, it's easy to me because it's it's basically the foundation of what we have now. I mean, the only difference, what's the difference, is they didn't have all the extra technology back then as far as the graphics and everything, and it was it in color, but I still, none of that is the issue. I mean, when you're talking about anything with film and television, you have to understand the roots and the foundation. These classical films and movies, classical and television, they're the root and the foundation to what we have now. So it birthed what we have now. All these how film and television has evolved now. So I mean, I can still watch this stuff to this day. Like, and you'd be surprised. I watch a lot of stuff in black and white, like, or just classical. Period. Even if it's in color, but just it's classical. I watch this stuff to this day. And I always get people like, when especially when I'm at someone or visiting someone, they be like, dude, they were like, how are you sitting there watching this? Like, that's weird. Like, and they were like, okay, how old are you? People ask me how old I am. Like, dang, what are you, like 60 something years old or 70 something years old, like, or 80? But it's like, no, like, I mean, you have to understand, I grew up, like, I was born in an era where I grew up where, I mean, we had already got into color when I was a kid growing up. There was already colored TV and colored film and television movie, all that. But still, a lot of the shows, even though we were already had the color television, we had already advanced from black and white to color. But still, during a certain time era, that a lot of those shows, even though we were in color, they were still made and created in black and white. So therefore, you still had to watch those shows in black and white. For example, such as the Andy Griffin Show, even though we were already, for example, in the 90s and the early 90s, we were already in color. We had color. Even in the 80s, we had color, but we still, certain shows they had when they were aired and we watched them, they were in black and white, such as the Andy Griffin Show, such as I Love Lucy. A huge portion of the I Love Lucy just whole series and foundation, a lot of that, majority of that was in black and white before they start making it into color. I believe when it became just when the series where it was just Lucy, I think Lucy or Lucille Ball or Lucy, that's when it was in color. But I'm talking about I Love Lucy, that was in black and white. There were a lot of other shows. Beverly Hillbillies. At one point, Beverly Hillbillies was in black and white. So I mean, it just to me, I think we need to appreciate, and that's why you see on my channel that I do. I do have content where I talk about a lot of the different like classical films or the earlier films and televisions from throughout the. You're talking about the 40s, even 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc., etc. Even before, like I like to talk about those things because those eras and that type of content, those things, they're the foundation, and I think it shouldn't be forgotten. It should be appreciated and shown how, so you can see how we have evolved as far as the film and television, like just in general, how more advanced things are right now, and what how compared to what we see right now, what we see right now that's presented to us through these films and through these television, just the entertainment industry, period. But yeah, I enjoyed classical films. Watch them a lot, actually. You'd be surprised. It depends. Like some days, like it could be days where I could be watching one thing classical. It could be in black and white, and then out that whole day, probably I'll sit there, or half of that day, I'll start watching a lot of different other things as classical as well, just because I'm in the mood or whatever. It depends on what it is. But yeah, so this is nothing new to me. But as I said, right now I'm watching Alfred Hitchcock Hour television teleseries, season 2, episode 31. That's one thing I will point out to you guys that I want to mention to you guys about. One thing I will say about the foundation and the foundation and rudimentaries of film and television is that the appreciation you guys noticed me definitely. I always try to give a lot huge appreciation to the artists behind the artists that actually have to perform, like the artists, the actors and actresses. I give a lot of praise to them because they are a big, huge part of what makes certain what makes film and television the investment and what made it so good and great. Especially we're talking about the classical. What I noticed the difference from back then compared to now, where we are now, it's like, and it's no shade being thrown at right now as far as actors and actresses in the current time, but I just think that the actors in the past from the classical era, I think that they took more pride in their work and their performances, and I think they really like took more pride compared to now. I don't think a lot of actors and actresses really take it to the take have that really take that put that much passion and effort into the work of what they're doing, and I just think it's more right now. Right now, there's no shade. Like I said, there's no shade at any actors and actresses right now. I just think it's more like kind of nurtured up and pampered up right now. Like, but back then you could tell like it's like they really took it very seriously. All the actors and actresses of every culture, like in all film and television back then, when you look and watch it, you really see how like you can appreciate how the value of the work that the performances that they gave us. And the thing is, to be honest, that's the sad part. I don't see that now. Like, even though we've grown as far as the technology and how filming, television, TV shows, and film and movies look now, I still think that I don't get that. Like, I don't get that same vibe that I got from when I used to watch, even to the day when I watch classical films, the earlier film and television. I don't see that. Like, it's different. I don't see like these that passion where they take that artwork very seriously and try to really, it's it's just something different. And it's no shade. I mean, it's no shade. There, like I said, there no shade. There's a lot of hell of a good um respectable artists out here today, as far as actors and actresses. It's just that it's still, I notice we're talking about calculation with stats. I just don't think that I get that same passion. I don't receive that same passion. I don't feel that vibe from all of the artists now compared to back then. You know, I could tell they took it very more seriously, and they really wanted to make you feel what you were seeing through this, what they call the idiot pop.